It's Monday morning and we are in Ketchikan, Alaska, waiting to start our tour today. This is the view from the back of the ship where our cabin is. At least it's not raining. This place is known as the rain capital of the world. They get an equivalent of 17 feet of rain every year here in Ketchikan. We're in the old part of Ketchikan called Creek Street. This is Dolly's house, and Creek Street used to be the red light district up until like 1952 or something around there. And Dolly's house is one of the last houses of ill repute in Ketchikan. The last one to close anyway. And they still left it the way it is, and you can go inside and look around. They have girls dressed up.
Hello there! Come on inside and bring your money, honey. We'll all have fun.
All right.
Denim shirt and I really felt cute.
Yeah.
And this is the Creek River, and that's why they name it Creek Street. One of the totem poles here in Ketchikan, down by Creek Street.
Weighs in at about 7.5 pounds. Would have a wingspan of about 6 feet. However, he's a victim of a poaching incident where someone shot at him, and part of that right wing actually had to be amputated. If he does fan out, you get to see that right side is a little shorter than the other. And he's about 12 years old right now. non-flight birds. Yep. Our female on the right there, that's Ta'ak, which is a Tlingit word which means eagle. She weighs in about 12 pounds, would have a wingspan of about 7 feet. However, she ran into a power line, and part of that right wing was fused improperly. Therefore, both birds are non-flight birds, and thus the reason they're here with us for educational purposes. They came to us from a facility up in Anchorage in 1999.
Ketchikan and us are the 4 large bird prey centers. This animal came from Anchorage. We all worked together. He came in with that wing sloughed off. The wing was already gone. We have no idea how this injury happened. But if this has 4 years, he's about 6 years old, he'll live to be 14 to 16 years old. Unfortunately, he's in captivity for the rest of life, but he's really doing something special. He's an ambassador for his species. That means he's an educator. He's a teacher. He sees 50 to 70,000 people a year, just like this, in groups. He sees our school kids, our museum folks. He'll put his wings out to dissipate heat if he's real warm. He'll flop his neck and cool off like a dog will, taking air over moist tissue to cool him down if he gets a little bit warm because of the lights. But other than that, he never gets too hot because his wings never come away from his body to dissipate the heat. So this animal is the first to nest in the year, January and February, cold weather. He takes a vole or rat or mouse to the female to start off the season. Now remember, this male, the female is much larger than this. So he'll take that rat to a female, and he'll use these feather touch for communication. He'll hold him down. He says, "Well, sweetie, is it time to mate? Is it that time of year again?" And he'll hold him down. But then you know how those lover spats are. He'll hold them way back when he has those spats. He'll hold them right back to his head like this, and that's when he's, uh-oh, we're in trouble again. Of course, we always try to make him happy for the show, so...
Yeah. Back there in the creek, yeah, okay.
But go out and find your master carver. Master carvers are the ones responsible for carving totem poles. You paid for your master carver right then by the barter system. How many baskets, how many blankets, how many...
Folks, welcome to the Totem Heritage Center. My name is Jim, the Visitor Services Manager here at the museum. I'm going to talk to you about the 5 main poles you see right here in the center gallery. Before we get started, though, let's take a look around the building. The building was built in 1976, and as you can see, folks, it was built specifically. 3 cultural groups that we talk about here in Southeast Alaska. They are the Haida, the Tlingit, the Tsimshian. The Aleuts, Yupik, Inupiat, and Athabascans, they're all found.
Thank you.
From Prince of Wales Island, weighed approximately 200,000 pounds before the excess was milled, approximately 600 to 800 years of age, old, and we're working at a deadline. Our deadline on this totem is September 30th of this year. So it's a heck of an undertaking. This is the basic design that's going to be incorporated with this totem. At the bottom of the design, at the base of the totem, bentwood box, symbolize the keeping of the heritage, the keeping of the songs, the keeping of the stories. Above that would be a cedar bark weaver, symbolized by the cape and the hat. That's what we're working on right now. Above that would be the mother and the daughter. That symbolizes the passing of lineage. My mother is half Tlingit, therefore I'm quarter Tlingit. Everybody see how that works? Okay. Above that would be the raventail weaver. That weaving technique precedes the chilkat weaving, to where they would actually intertwine the cedar bark with the wool. So it's very intricate work. Above that would be a carver working on a mask with an adze. An adze would be that hooked instrument that Israel would be using right now. Above that would be the healing hands. 3 hands symbolize the 3 tribes in Southeast Alaska, the Tlingits, the Haidas, and the Tsimshians. As I said, it's one of 3 poles. So this is the Tlingit pole.
Okay, Ravens. There's areas to sit and give you a good mythological story. before we head out back down to Dolly's house. He was responsible for a lot of things. This is of the children. Of course, Raven was sitting on top of there. Now, little Raven was sent out by the village to do some fishing because they were starving, they had no food. So little Raven set out in a canoe, started to fish. A large fog bank came in. Couldn't see the fish anymore, so he decided he was just going to take a nap and let the fog go away. Well, that's what he did. And a couple hours later, the fog was gone, and woke up, and in this boat was this beautiful woman. He fell instantly in love with her, decided to keep her for his bride and take her back to the village much sooner than expected. Okay? So, when he went back to the village, they saw him coming. They went down there and greeted him because they thought he had what? Fish? Oh no, he didn't have anything but this beautiful woman, which caused them to get into a huge argument. So they continued to argue. Raven, you were supposed to be She couldn't take it. She said, stop it, I'll take care of you. You will never starve again. So she steps out of the
You still have grits all the time?
This was the last house on the street. It was closest to the fishing fleet. The fishermen had all the money in town. And it was the easiest one to smuggle bootleg whiskey into and not get caught. So she paid $800 cash for it. She had it decorated this way and she went into business. We have wallpaper from 1919 on the walls. We have the original flooring still on the floors when the house was built here around 1905. It took her 2 weeks to pay her house off after she opened the front door. She'd have this area here filled with fishermen, loggers, miners, trappers, even the cops. And they weren't doing any police work down here either. I'd tell everybody it was undercover work, but actually everybody was paid the other way in those days. The chief of police even had his own brothel that he ran on the street. So you can see what a fun little town it really used to be. All these islands around us had stills on them. Prohibition started in 1917, lasted until 1934, so everybody was making their own moonshine. They'd come up the creek at night on the high tide, they'd open the trap doors to the floor, hoist it through, and hide it so they had something to serve to the guys. Dolly's the only one they can never find. Up in her bedroom, you'll see a little cubby hole in her closet with bootleg whiskey bottles down the inside of the 2x4s. Then she'd stick a little board over the top of it and had nails sticking out of it. She'd hang her lingerie on it. The cops, the federal cops would watch this place. They'd see the guys coming in sober. They'd go staggering out drunk. So they'd rush over here. They'd raid her house. Never could find it because they wouldn't touch her lingerie. She was a lady. They wouldn't touch it. So they wouldn't pull on the nail. And if they had, they would have caught her. So she went her whole entire life without getting in trouble for anything. The photos that you guys see throughout the house that have a star on them are photos of Dolly herself at different ages. Dolly never got married and she never had children. Up here we in this house and she called them her babies. They slept in a crib at the end of her bed every night. And she had cats, she had parrots that could cuss as good as she could. She had a boyfriend for 26 years, Lefty the longshoreman. What a guy he was. He worked too. She wouldn't support him. He came home every night knowing he was the last man alive. For 26 years.
We're almost ready for the next day.
One as a prostitute. Then she lived in this house until 1973. At the age of 85, she was too old to get up and down the stairs anymore. She'd gone blind from diabetes, so she checked out to the nursing home and died in 1975 at the age of 88. Let you all listen to this. Look at her homes are supposed to like here. Collecting everything. Over here we have her 40. This one actually has a motor on it. It agitates the clothes, but she's still up in there. Don't touch this and let you listen to this one.
Dolly was known as an excellent
Look at this stove.
modifications Dolly made to her house, like indoor plumbing. Notice the clever men's room. You were all welcome to take a look inside. Dolly came right into the house with a slot for the coin. Dolly didn't make change. At the end of the hallway.
Here, when she was busy, these guys were on the honor. Let's all go upstairs to our bedroom and check that out.
This is the men's room. This is the men's bar in the House of Ville Repute, where she used to hide her booze from the Prohibition. And we're going upstairs to her bedroom.
The little board below it is where she's sticking up over there and hanging her lingerie on it. Or she made, when she was 65 years old, She was collecting Social Security. Here we got, she got this from a friend of hers, a boyfriend of hers, I might add, in Petersburg.
For another 22 years, and then spent her last year and a half in a local retirement home. During Prohibition, she had a secret liquor cache in the closet. The clothes here are her own. Dolly never married and was known as Big Dolly along the street. She stood over 5'9", weighed as much as 250 pounds, and wore a 9.5 shoe. Please notice the sewing machine. Dolly, as did other ladies of the line, often proclaimed to be a professional seamstress. Dolly created all the fine stitchwork displayed in her house.
I've never seen a quote like that before. That is amazing. Until she was one that when she bought this house, they didn't have any indoor plumbing. She had to put this on herself. And these have outhouses out here in the back. Up here in the woods is where Mary Ann still ran. The first 1908 house here. As a matter of fact, my uncle won the Pioneer Lodge. Ran it for a couple of months, and then had a whole thing, a lot of stuff like that. He was a smart enough to quit gambling when he was a kid. And everybody from Vancouver, we have a picture of her first house here from Vancouver. This little one right here. She bought that.
And then over here, there's some dried herring, and then there's also some herring eggs, which is we collect on seaweed that the herring like to lay their eggs, and then they like to eat that on pieces of kelp. And that's actually a pretty good food.
I know, but I enjoyed watching you. Yeah, we'll be from there. It's gonna start.
Now, they're not a fish, so the correct term to refer to them is as a jelly. But if you see some of those beautiful orange jellies floating, it's typical of a jelly. And the lion's mane jelly is the more poisonous. It's got some long tentacles that stream down behind the ship. I can see both lion's mane and wind jelly, so that could be our first wildlife sighting from our position on the ship.